One of the things that I've really been noticing as I go out and meet more people is that people feel like they always have to compare themselves to others and what they're doing in their lives. They look at social media and complain, oh, why does this person have, all this nice stuff? And meanwhile, I'm working a 9 to 5 job and I can barely afford my rent or barely afford getting McDonald's to have for lunch. Why these guys are living such nice, luxurious lifestyles with all these cars and, they got a nice hot wife or boyfriend, they got this high status in life, whether it be finances, their job, or even just got all these nice cars, mansions. You see this glamorous lifestyle. And once again, people keep feeling the need to compare themselves to these people, thinking that it's going to help them, get anywhere. And that ends up leading to jealousy and resentment and then on and so forth. And as I am now approaching the halfway point of being 25 years old, I'm still seeing this even to this day. Even people in their 30s that are still complaining about, oh, I can't get anywhere. I'm now in my 30s, I got no kids, and now I don't have what this person has, and it looks like they're living such a better life. And I guess the question I have to ask myself is why is that? Why do people feel the need they have to compare themselves to other people that they're seeing on social media? Well, I think it's just because there's some secret desires that certain people have and they feel like they're behind in life, which is valid. Even people in their 20s, like even me, I'm halfway pointed to that. And I feel like I'm behind in certain ways in my own life. Some people are able to have kids right out of the get-go at 18 years old or have made it big with, promotions and brand recognition or even just career and finances right when they turn 18 years old. And, feels like they got a step up in life ahead of everybody else. And, it naturally makes people feel jealous and wishing that they had that luck and success that person was feeling in that moment. Or it could also be, they're having a really terrible time in life right now. And they're just looking for something, a miracle or something good to come into their life to make it all better. Like a fairy godmother to wave their wand and make everything better and okay. And then they can get back to living on in a merry, happy-go-lucky sort of life. And I think there's just really a lot of reasons. We as human beings are complicated. We all got our different desires and wants and needs and things that make us feel happy. So everybody's going to, draw comparisons to other people that they feel if they had that same happiness that person was having. Like, for example, they want a nice new Lamborghini. Or let's even go a step further. A nice new F-150 Ford truck, like fresh off the dealership market. And they see people posting, oh, I got this Ford F-150 from a dealership, no mileage on it, fresh off the lot. They're taking their pictures. They maybe got their family involved. They're real excited to be driving this truck around and all happy about it. And, they feel upset and frustrated because they're like, I want that Ford F-150. I want a nice truck. I got this piece of shit, truck from the 90s that rust is appearing on the rims and underneath the car and it's just falling apart completely. I want that truck. But in reality, and this is where reality comes knocking on the door here, there's more than meets the eye. Because these people that bring up these, high glamorous lifestyles, it is smoke and mirrors. I'm just going to be honest with you. There are a very few select percentage of people that are in these sort of situations, with all this, again, glamorous lifestyle and happy-go-lucky situation they're in with little to no consequences. Those are only a fraction of what you see online. In reality, it's not what you think. Like, for example, let's go back to that Ford F-150. You see that post and you think, oh, they got a nice brand new truck. But let's take a minute and think about it. That Ford F-150, they had to take a loan or a car payment out, and they're probably paying $800 to $900 a month for said truck. And not to mention, the moment that car, or rather that truck leaves that lot, it starts depreciating in value. Because that's how dealerships work. In reality, that truck lost a good fraction of its value the moment it left that lot. And that's the harsh truth, is that those trucks are very expensive because it makes dealerships money, and that person is probably in a car payment that they have to pay back. Now, again, it could be in that 1% where they maybe take a car payment, but they have the money all slated out, or they flat out buy it with cash. But again, that is a very, very small amount. In reality, most people on this planet, 9 times out of 10, they have to take it out on credit, make payments. Same thing with those lavish lifestyles. You really think, again, the average person these days, especially with inflation, they're able to get those kind of nice, expensive stuff without having to have some ramifications, like, again, loans, taking things out on credit. They probably got several credit cards just to fund and pay for that expensive lifestyle, just to make them feel like they're getting validation from their peers, from those comments on social media. And that's the harsh truth of it, is that they're only doing this for the attention. They like the attention. They crave it. They want it so desperately that they're willing to throw themselves in years upon years of debt and credit just to achieve that lifestyle. But once again, reality comes knocking on the door. At one point, those people, they have to suffer the consequences and have to pay all those debts back, because it doesn't just go away. And credit card debt, I'm going to be honest with you, is the worst kind of debt you could ever have, because there is no wiggle room. You have to pay it back, period. And if you don't, there's severe penalties, problems, and that's what, swallows people in debt further and further and harder. So when you see those social media posts of these people posting those pictures of a glamorous lifestyle, living at, in the quote-unquote top 1%, just take a minute to think about this person, if they're actually really living in that, or is it just an illusion? Again, smoke and mirrors. And not to mention the fact they could be also having some whole other problems that you don't have. These people might be having, again, these glamorous items, but in reality, their wife hates them, or their husband hates them. Their kids maybe hate them. Or we could take it a step further away from family, rather. They don't really have much of a social life. They have artificial friends that are only there because they have the money and wealth in that moment. And those are fake friends. You don't want those kind of friends, because they're only being friends with you because they want validation for themselves as well, creating a never-ending cycle, because these people are superficial and they don't give a shit. They just want that status, that feeling of want, even if it's bought in an artificial form. So really, you don't know what's going on with the other person, is the point I'm trying to make. You don't know what's really going on in people's lives. And sure, they may be open and honest with it up front, but in reality, they're probably just lying to you. It's why, social media is just a big lie and scam. And it's why I don't even use social media, because my lifestyle isn't that glamorous. It ain't cool or fun. And I don't really need other people to validate what I do in my life. I live my life the best way I can, and I try not to compare myself to others. And, there are still those moments that I do that, but I'm human. We're all going to do it anyway, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can be envious, but not jealous. Envious is a lot more, I wouldn't say completely good version of jealousy, but it's more so the idea of you want something that the person has, but instead you feel happy for them, instead of like feeling, quote unquote, again, jealous or angry that they have something you don't have. Because you can be envious of someone, but be happy for them and what they've gotten compared to you. So the most important thing I can give to close this video off at is just set goals on yourself. Only compare yourself. Compare yourself to how you were, a month ago, a week ago, and see the improvement, and just keep it in that vacuum and space. Don't just compare yourself to people on social media. They're not you. Not even to family members. If you're seeing family members doing the same examples that I mentioned, don't do it. It's not worth it. It will screw with your head, and the next thing you know, you're just going to be digging yourself into a further hole, and you'll be falling in the same trap that these people might be falling into, and creating a superficial lifestyle, drowning in thousands upon thousands of dollars in credit card debt, loans, car payments, all for what? Something that really just isn't there. That is, once again, just smoke and mirrors. So one more time, stop it. Don't do it. No. That's it. So anyway, that's all I have to say in this video. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when I post. And we are still on the road to 300 subscribers. And as of recording, I am at 277, so we're still on track. I did create a posting, or rather a survey on my channel a couple days ago. And it seems like you guys, as per the poll, don't really care what days I upload. Because I was really questioning if I even wanted to continue the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday schedule, because I've been trying to catch up on a few things in my life right now due to what happened a couple weeks ago, because we're now, as I'm recording this Friday morning, we are basically now about 3 weeks since I lost my grandmother, and my mind is still kind of in a weird, like, cloudy state, and I don't want to keep, bringing this up. It's just, it's a big situation in my life right now, and I'm trying not to let it run it. But it is still a looming cloud overhead, and there's days where I'm normal, I can do things, but then reality always kicks back in to remind me that, yeah, she's gone. So I think I'm just going to do 2 videos this week. Maybe I'll create a third one at some point before the weekends. I don't know. It just depends on my mind state. But I'm going to go to the 2 to 3 videos a week, and I'm just going to post them whenever I feel like creating the topic. But I still have lots of topics I've written down that I'd like to talk about. So anyway, I will see you guys with another video soon. Y'all take care and have a good rest of your day. And keep an eye out on the post tab. I think I might be posting a bit there more. So take care.